My name is Claire Bennett. For 11 months, I watched a small gray cat named Nigel get rejected by 217 families. Every time, I told myself it would be the last time. Every time I was wrong. Then, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, an old man walked through our doors. He wasn't there to adopt anything. His daughter had told him to get out of the house for a few hours. He had no idea he was about to change the loneliest heart in that building. And he had no idea Nigel was about to change his heart right back. If you're watching this with a cat curled up somewhere near you right now, one who trusts no one but you, tell me where you're watching from. I read every comment. But to really understand what happened with James, you need to understand who Nigel was before him. And who I was too. I started volunteering at Willow Creek Animal Shelter 2 years ago. My marriage had just ended. Not with shouting. Not with anything dramatic. It just quietly stopped working the way some things do. 1 month I had a husband and a house full of noise. The next, I had a 1-bedroom apartment and a silence I didn't know what to do with. My grandmother used to say that animals tell you the truth, even when people don't. I grew up in her house most summers, surrounded by rescue dogs and half-wild barn cats. I think some part of me went looking for that truth again after the divorce. I needed somewhere to put my hands, somewhere to put my time. So on Tuesday and Thursday evenings after work, I drove to the shelter. I filled water bowls. I cleaned kennels. I sat with the animals nobody else wanted to sit with. That's how I met Nigel. He was already there when I started. Nobody remembered exactly when he'd arrived. The intake sheet just said, stray, found near the highway, malnourished, extremely fearful. That was the only history anyone had of the first years of his life. He was gray, with white paws and one torn ear that never quite healed right. He lived in the back corner of Kennel 14. Not on the shelf, not near the door. The very back corner, pressed against the concrete, close enough that his whiskers touched the wall. When people knocked on the glass, he didn't run. He didn't flinch. He just waited silently for them to leave. Most people wanted a cat who ran to the front of the kennel. A cat who purred on command. A cat who made them feel chosen the second they walked through the door. Nigel didn't do any of that. So people looked at him for 3 seconds and moved on to the next kennel. I understood that feeling more than I wanted to admit. I knew what it felt like to stand in a room and watch people look straight through you. There's one rejection I still think about. A family came in on a Saturday. A mother, a father, a little girl with a purple backpack. The little girl walked straight to Kennel 14 and pressed her hand against the glass. "Can we get this one?" she asked. Her mother crouched down and waited, almost a full minute, for Nigel to move. He stayed pressed against the wall. "He's kind of broken, isn't he?" the little girl said. Not cruel, just honest, the way children are honest. Her mother laughed gently and stood back up. "Let's find you one who wants to play, sweetheart." They adopted an orange tabby from Kennel 9 instead. He was purring before they'd even opened the cage. I stood outside Kennel 14 after they left. For the first time in 11 months, I cried at that shelter. I remember thinking, what if I'm not helping him? What if I'm just keeping him alive long enough to watch this happen 200 more times? That was rejection number 216. I almost stopped coming after that. I sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time, telling myself I'd done what I could. That some things don't get better, no matter how long you sit with them. I think I wasn't only talking about Nigel that night. I think I was talking about myself too. But Thursday came, and I drove back anyway. I want to tell you, I had a plan after that. I didn't. All I had was a folding chair and time. I didn't understand it yet, but that folding chair was the beginning of everything that came after. I started sitting outside Nigel's kennel every visit, not talking to him, not reaching for him, just sitting close enough that he could see me, far enough that he never had to move. I brought a paperback novel and read it out loud. Not exactly to him, just near him, so the sound of a voice was something to get used to, not something to fear. Day 1, he stayed in the corner. Day 12, he stayed in the corner, but his eyes stayed open the whole time. Day 31, I looked up from my book, and he was watching me instead of the wall. I started a small notebook after that. I didn't know it yet, but that notebook would end up mattering to me more than almost anything else I owned that year. I wrote down every tiny thing. Day 47, he ate while I was in the room. Day 63, he didn't flinch when I opened the kennel door. Day 90, he moved 4 inches closer to the front. 4 inches in 90 days. Some of the other volunteers told me, gently, that certain cats are just like that. That maybe it was kinder to stop hoping for more. I didn't believe that. I couldn't. Because if that was true about Nigel, some small part of me was afraid it might be true about people too. That some of us don't come back from certain things. I needed it not to be true. For him, and maybe for me. By month 7, Nigel let me sit inside the kennel with him. He never climbed into my lap. He never asked to be touched. But he sat 2 feet away from me instead of 10. Some nights, that felt like the biggest win of my entire year. In month 9, my supervisor mentioned the shelter's barn program during a staff meeting. It existed for cats who'd been with us a long time and didn't seem suited to a typical house. They'd still be safe, still fed, still cared for, just not in the way any of us had pictured for them back when they first came through our doors. Nigel's name came up. I asked for more time. 30 days, I said. She gave me 60. Then came that Tuesday. James walked in soaking wet from the rain and sat down in the plastic chair by the front desk. He didn't ask to see a single animal. I brought him a coffee, the way we did for people who looked like they needed one. He told me his wife, Margaret, had passed 7 months earlier. 41 years married. He said the house was too quiet now. His daughter thought a pet might help. He wasn't so sure. I'm not looking for anything that needs a lot from me, he said. I don't have a lot to give right now. I don't know why I did it, but I walked him back to kennel 14 anyway. James looked at Nigel for a long time. Nigel looked back, pressed into his corner. Same as always. He doesn't come to the front. I warned him. He might not for a long time. James nodded slowly. Margaret used to say the quiet ones love the hardest, once they finally trust you. He crouched down slow, careful, and didn't reach through the bars. He doesn't have to do anything, he said. I just want to sit here a while, if that's all right. He came back 3 more times that month. He never rushed Nigel. He never tried to hold him. He just sat on the floor outside the kennel, sometimes talking quietly about Margaret, sometimes saying nothing at all. On his 4th visit, Nigel walked to the front of the kennel on his own and sat down 3 inches from James's hand. James adopted him that same afternoon. I remember signing the paperwork with my hands shaking a little. I cried again that day. Different tears this time. For a few weeks after, I didn't hear much and I worried. Then James sent a photo. Nigel, asleep on a windowsill, in a patch of afternoon sun. Then another. Nigel, curled on the arm of James's chair while he read the newspaper. 3 months later, James invited me to come see them both. When I walked through his front door, Nigel looked up from the couch. For a second, old habit, he tensed. Then he stood up, walked across the room, and pressed his head against my hand. He had never done that. Not once, in 11 months at Willow Creek. James told me Nigel slept at the foot of his bed every night now. That he waited by the door when James got the mail. That somewhere in those quiet months, he'd become the kind of cat who chooses to be near you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. You didn't fix him, James told me that day. You just didn't leave. I think about that sentence more than almost anything anyone has ever said to me. A few weeks after that visit, a new cat arrived at Willow Creek. Terrified, pressed into the back corner of his kennel. Wouldn't come near the glass. I pulled up a folding chair, and I sat down. If you've ever loved something broken back to life, a person, an animal, maybe even a version of yourself, tell me about it in the comments. I'd really like to know I'm not the only one. Nigel taught me that healing was never about turning someone into what you needed them to be. It was about staying exactly as long as it took until they believed you meant it. Nigel was never broken. He was only waiting for someone who wouldn't leave. 217 people walked past him to find that out. It only took one who stayed.